whoop. This is your boy Tyree. Today, I'm going to teach you 3 words that inspired me to put into every youth ministry context. Let's go! All right, so today, these are the 3 words: train, equip, and unleash. Whenever I go to a youth ministry or I train students or leaders, these are the 3 words that I always try to focus on and try to plug into the DNA of the youth pastor or youth worker that I meet with. I worked at many different organizations, secular organizations, faith-based organizations. And the secular organizations I worked in, we had this time of training, which meant that we all gathered around. We had this manual that we had to go through in order to keep the grant or keep the funding or stay current on what's going on. And so that happened in my secular organizations. Now, my faith-based organizations I worked with within the church, we didn't have these. And that's kind of alarming because when you work with students, when you work with people, demographics change, ways that we serve them change. And so I feel like in this area, these secular organizations kind of get it. And so I think the church kind of lags behind when it comes to training. So a lot of times we'll just send youth pastors out to conferences or, Google stuff, or hopefully you're on like a Facebook page or some type of network where you just receive training, but it's kind of like you get it as you get it. And so training to me is important because it needs to be consistent. So when working with students, it's important that as you're training them, it's a consistent time where it's going to continue to happen and it's not going to be interrupted by different events. So I get it if you have to delay a week or bump it up a week, but there should be something when it comes to training your students on a consistent basis. Now what I train them with is an element called discipleship through evangelism. And so what that means is this. A lot of people think there's only 2 things, discipleship or evangelism. I believe they're both. I believe you can't do one without the other. And so discipleship, when we think of it, generally is sitting in a classroom, hearing something about how to go deep in like deep niches, different areas that we find important, going deep in those areas. And evangelism is when we go on mission trips, right? And so my thought is, why not combine the 2? And so discipleship through evangelism says this: you grow deeper, you'll pray more, you'll worship deeper, you'll read more as you go evangelize. So as we train them how to evangelize and put them in areas where they have to articulate their faith, it pushes them to know more about God, to pray more, to worship deeper, to read scriptures more. So when it comes to equip, this is important to me because equipping means to basically give resources, give them access, show them where these resources are. It would do me no good as a youth pastor to hoard all the resources for myself. They have to come to me, access my library, check it in, check it back out, and give it back. It's important that as I equip them, they know where these resources are, they know how to get them, they can access them themselves. So it's basically the thought of, if you give a man a fish, he'll only eat for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And so we want to equip our students, teach them how to find these resources, give them these resources. And then finally, we have unleash. And unleash is very important because all these right here mean nothing if they're not going out. And so our unleashing looks like it in different ways. It looks like accessing your social media to communicate this message. It means calling a friend or texting a friend, having a conversation about it. It means actually putting boots on the ground and going out and speaking to people, to friends. And so yes, we'll go out, we'll talk to random strangers, and that's important, but to me it's harder to talk to friends, teammates, and classmates about their faith. And so literally putting them in areas where they have to talk to friends, teammates, and classmates about their faith as opposed to random strangers. Now don't get me wrong, talking to random strangers is great. It's just not as scary because the random strangers you may not see so often, but the friends, teammates, and classmates you see on a consistent basis. So here it is in a nutshell: train, equip, and unleash. So my challenge to you is to start this in your youth ministry context, or at least bring someone in that can do this with your students. In the area of ministry, we as youth pastors, we see that we have the need for it, but we just don't find the time, or we feel like we don't have the time. God bless you. So I encourage you, if you want to see more information about this, go to tyreesterling.com. On there you'll see videos, resources. Also feel free to sign up for the monthly email subscription that I have. Every month I give about 3 to 5 best practices from ministries all across the nation on how to more effectively advance the gospel in your youth ministry context. God bless.